First, I want to say that I'm glad that you find yourself to be a loving and kind person because of your belief in this God. If this God keeps you to being that person, then you should stay with that God. But unfortunately, it doesn't work for everybody that same way. You don't know my history, but to insinuate that I've never been in a state where I was begging and pleading and asking and praying and doing everything that I possibly could think of and everything that people led me to as far as looking for an answer from this God, especially in my early years of my life up until about 27 years old when I finally walked away from this religion. I've done all those things. I've asked this God to give me the correct interpretations, to demonstrate it, to show it to me, to give me, put in front of me the mentors that I would need in order to come to this understanding. But everything that happened after that, every instance of meeting people, walking with people, mentoring with people, it all led to gathering the information that made me walk away from this book. And then to study this book scholarly definitely made me walk away from this book easily, because although you may see a loving God, I see a genocidal, narcissistic maniac in this deity. And in understanding how in Koine Greek, Jesus is John 1:1 is grossly misinterpreted, just mistranslated, made me walk away from this book in the belief that Jesus was this deity. Also, in understanding historicity, that Jesus didn't exist in the framework of this book. Could there have been multiple people who fit the description of a person? Sure. Is any of those persons validated as to being this all encompassing Jesus miracle, two-piece fish sandwich feeding everybody God, walking on water, healing people? Absolutely not. There's absolutely no proof that that person ever existed. Did people believe this as a story in the late first century and on? Yes, people believed in the story and they believed different variations of the story. This is why you had multiple denominations of Christianity, even in first century. Um, and certainly, definitely, by the time you get to the fourth century, there are various degrees of Christianity, which is why Constantine called the Council of Nicaea together. Now, you say that you know this God personally or what he's personally done for you in your life. I can find you a Muslim, a Hindus, everybody else, Shinto, Taoist, Buddhist, who all claim the exact same thing about their religion. So it doesn't validate yours and make it even more real simply because you had this experience when I can find the same experience by people all over the place. And as far as this Bible being taken literally, here's the problem that I found in my research concerning this. At the time frame that the people who wrote this book wrote it, they believed in the literal translation, the literal happenings of this book. When Hezekiah, Josiah, and Ezra was doing their time frame of putting the Old Testament together, so from about 780 BCE down to about 500 BCE, they literally thought the Job story was a literal story. The Exodus story was a literal story. All of your Old Testament stories were to be taken literally as well as metaphorically, meaning it's a literal thing that happened in order to teach you a lesson of how to live your life today. So they were taken in both ways. So those people, to them, actually existed. So who am I to change what the writers meant? This is what we call doctrine. When you change what the writers meant to fit your culture of today, you are creating a doctrine that is somewhat justified by your book, but is all a creative mindset based on the culture that you live in today, which most religions are culturally based and continue to change as cultures change. So if Christianity makes you a good person, and you need that to be a good person, then stay with Christianity. If you left Christianity and became a psychopath, don't leave Christianity. Stay in your lane, stay right there. But for those of us who don't need Christianity to not be a psychopath, we're good. You have a great day. And remember always, you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.